Hey, payday. You want payday. I know that. Stay tuned. What do we have here? What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button for the best and the greatest, also the latest in boxing content. Now, Canelo Alvarez, it looks like he's honing in on a deal, a 2-fight deal, to fight Dimitri Bivol on pay-per-view, and then to fight Gennady Golovkin on pay-per-view. Link in the description. ESPN, it says sources, Canelo Alvarez close to a 2-fight deal with Matchroom Boxing to face Dimitri Bivol and Gennady Golovkin. Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin at long last are on the verge of a trilogy fight. Alvarez and Eddie Hearn's rematch room are closing in on a 2-fight deal worth upwards of $85 million for boxing's top star to compete on DAZN. Sources told ESPN the first fight would pit Canelo against light heavyweight title holder Dimitri Bivol May 7th in a return to 175. Provided Alvarez wins as expected, he would defend his undisputed 168 championship against Triple G in a long-awaited grudge match on September 17th. Golovkin first must meet Ryota Murata in a scheduled 160 bout spring in Tokyo. This fight was supposed to happen in December of last year, but the fight fell apart because of the Rona. And he has to emerge victorious to keep that fight intact. The deal has not been agreed nor signed yet, sources said, but negotiations are approaching the finish line. Yada, yada, yada. Now, this is interesting. It says Hearn alongside a 1-fight offer from Al Heyman's PBC to defend his 4 super middleweight belts against Jermall Charlo on May 7th. The PBC offer is worth upwards of $45 million guaranteed, sources said. So, you know, now the Canelo Man fans are making excuses for Canelo if, in fact, he doesn't fight against Jermall Charlo. Ironic. Now, everything I've said in past videos, I still feel, even more so now. You know, these are the games that Canelo likes to pet. He likes to play. He wants to be in the driver's seat. He wants to be, you know, the man or whatever. But at the end of the day, I've already been on record in saying this. Listen, I stated this, and just for the record, I want to state it again. I made a point when there were rumors of Canelo possibly fighting Charlo. My point is very simple. Canelo waits for opportune moments to fight a lot of guys. Jermall Charlo had a performance against Fernando Montiel, and in that performance, some people thought he would be able to have an easier time or whatever with Jermall Charlo. His guy was definitely durable and resilient and had a level of resiliency, and Charlo also hurt his hand in that fight. So I stated that Canelo Alvarez, you know, it's just ironic that Charlo has been asking for this fight for years, and then we get a rumor saying that we're close to the Charlo fight, and it's off of that performance. Like, Charlo's had other sensational performances. That's the statement I made. However, I also said that Charlo versus Canelo is a big fight that I would pay for, all things considered, even though Charlo, there's other aspects because Charlo, he doesn't have any fights at 168, etc. So if you guys listen, see, I don't know who you listen to, what you guys listen to, whatever, but at the end of the day, I know what I say because I'm there when I say it. And in talking about this fight with Canelo Alvarez, I definitely stated these things. Charlo has no fights at 168. It's not a matter of opinion. That's a fact. But I also said in those very videos, if you listen, you see, you can't, if you're going to quote me, don't quote me on something I said out of context. You can't just quote a sentence I said, but not listen to the whole thing and then run with that. I also said that Charlo versus Canelo is a fight that I would pay for, and Charlo versus Canelo is the biggest fight out of all the rumored fights. But now, according to ESPN, Exhibit A, they're saying that he's locking horns on this deal. I will give Canelo the benefit of the doubt to at least announce it himself. So when I see it from Eddie Reynoso Canelo team page, or when I see it from Canelo, or get an official announcement from DAZN's page or something like that, then I'll reserve some of my thoughts. So I'm not going to go all the way in, because Canelo, he wants to be a fake Floyd Mayweather or whatever. So he wants to be the one. The funny thing is this with Canelo, he truly emulates Floyd Mayweather. What was that? The Canelo curse. Anyway, Canelo, he's never going to give Floyd Mayweather his credit, but he learned a lot from the Floyd Mayweather loss. And I think he's tried to study and do his best rendition of Floyd, period. In terms of his career, and he wants to be he wants to move like Floyd. Like Floyd was very adamant about being the one to announce his fights. Now you see Canelo, he wants to be the one that makes all the announcements and keeps people in surprise and stuff, just like Floyd Mayweather did. So it is what it is. Floyd's older than Canelo, so you got to learn from people who precede you, your predecessors. But my thing is this: what Floyd didn't do is fight people off of bad performances. What Floyd didn't do is fight 19 Eastern European Caucasoid fighters or whatever in a row like Canelo. Like make his shekels off of fighting a bunch of guys from certain regions only. Okay, Floyd, he fought Ricky Hatton. He's from England. That's fine, no problem. But his whole career is not comprised of like British fighters. You look at Canelo, oh my gosh, how many British fighters has he fought? Or fighters from the Eastern European bloc fighters, right? In terms of British, off the top of my head, Rocky Fielding, Liam Smith, Caleb Smith, Amir Khan. Who else is recently that he fought? Billy Joe Saunders. And the list goes on. Matthew Hatton, Ryan Rhodes. The list goes on and on and on and on. And at some point it gets old. Dmitry Bivol, he's a Russian fighter, not a big fan base in America. It's not a big event. Canelo's just robbing the bank, and he's going to end up hurting DAZN's pockets more than anything else, because these to me aren't big fights. Triple G, that was a classic first two fights, but you waited too long. Boxing doesn't work like that. You got to strike where the iron's hot. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fights that people want to do them. Like I think Juanma Lopez ended up fighting, who did he end up fighting? Gamboa or something in the exhibition, but they didn't do it when they were supposed to fight. You see what I'm saying? Like, and we get these situations where you get the fight, but you get it so much after the fact that it almost doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Almost doesn't count, like Brandy said. So at the end of the day, this really does nothing for Canelo. At this point, he should be looking for the big events. The Charlo fight would have been great. I think easily would have sold better than a Dmitry Bivol fight. And I have no faith. Listen, I'm putting all the money on Canelo. Triple G couldn't beat him in the first two fights cleanly, to the point where the judges agreed. The judges' scorecards were heavily in favor of Canelo. Now Canelo has more experience. He's fought at higher weights. Triple G's 40 years old, didn't fight one time in 2021. The fight is a dud. It's like they just pushing through just because they have the history together. But they'll find out shortly that's not how boxing works. Boxing doesn't work like that. So don't be heavily disappointed if the fight disappoints and looks nothing like the first two fights. Because again, boxing is a sport where you gotta strike while the iron's hot. You can say whatever you want. Canelo is not losing to Triple G in 2022. This fight would have been great immediately after the second fight to end the noise and stuff, but they waited, and then Canelo ended up suing DAZN, getting out of his contract and going back and doing other things. It's not the same fight anymore. Boom. More content coming soon. Subscribe to the channel. I will keep you guys updated. That's all I really have to say right now, but we'll wait and see what Canelo decides. And depending on what he decides, boy, I can't wait for that moment. Hit him up.
The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation.
Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster.